For me, more recently, I think on descending when we were in Raja Ampat, Indonesia, quite a remote set of islands, a brand new national park that's been set out, Marine National Park, and we were diving out there, but I was in a plane crash there, and I went up in a small float plane, open cockpit, and I was seated in the front seat. It was kind of inline seating like this. The pilot was seated behind me, and we went cruising between the islands. We were cruising around one of the islands, and I was just getting some footage. Luckily not with one of our Reds, but with my personal 5D Mark II, and just taking photos and getting some footage as like secondary cutaway stuff. And we started flying back, and we saw some dugongs in the water, which are like manatees. And we were quite close to the water, and so we kind of blew past them. And so in order to get a visual on them again, the pilot reefed back to gain altitude so we could get a better view of them. And we came up like this, and we were climbing, and then all of a sudden we got up high enough we could see them again. We both noticed them at the same time. It was off the right side, the starboard side. And we're both like, oh, there they are. And he banked, and because anyone who knows planes, if you're gaining altitude like this, you're losing airspeed, and then if you tip the wings like this, you basically stall the aircraft. And so that's what happened. He went like this, and as soon as the wings came off plane like that, he stalled the aircraft. And so the plane just came like this and fell, and he was a bit of a hot dog, and so we had like buzzed around a little bit, and so I didn't really think anything of it. And I can see we're going straight for the water from about 500 feet, and I'm like, this is going to be really close, and I'm kind of like, the thrill of a roller coaster is kind of going through my head. And the next thing I knew, there was like this split second where I'm like, we've gone too far, like we're past that breaking point, there's no way we're coming out of this. And the next thing I knew, I was underwater, and I was still belted in, and I was kind of thinking, yeah, upside down in the water, and the wreckage is sort of sinking, and we're in about maybe 80 or 90 feet of water, and sinking towards the bottom, and I'm like, at first I'm kind of thinking, am I dead? Like, are my arms broken? Do I still have a face? And I'm kind of like, okay, I'm all right, but I need to get out of here. I'm trying to fumble and find the release point on the 5-point harness. And luckily, because it's salt water, so I can't really see, and luckily I found it right away and pulled the release and swam to the surface. And the pilot was already out, and he was okay. I took most of the fuselage collapsed around my legs, and so I've got some scars that I'll have for life on my legs, and I've got what feels like a pebble in my lip that'll just scar tissue that'll probably take years and years to kind of go away. But aside from that, I swam away from it. So that was probably one of the, and for some reason, I think in the impact, or maybe just because I love my camera, I held on to the 5D. Like it wasn't around my neck. I still had it. So I got out of this with one hand. It was still in my right hand like this, and I swam to the surface. Holy shit, like what's going on? I'm kind of bleeding in the water, I can see blood all around me, and I'm like, am I okay? And the pilot's looking at me, and he's like, you're okay, it's just cuts, and you're not, dying kind of thing. And so we got up on top of one of the pontoons that had broken off the plane, and because the rest of the wreckage was gone. And so one of the pontoons is just sort of sitting there on the surface, and we clamber up onto it, and I realize as I'm climbing up, I'm having trouble getting up. And I'm like, I'm kind of shaking from adrenaline and everything, and I realize I'm having trouble because I've still got the camera. What the hell do I still have? Like it's full of salt water. It's dead. It's gone, right? And I'm like, and we still got the footage off of it. So CF cards are much better than you might think. So yeah, that was probably the crazy. We had a few crazy adventures this year with diving and red cameras and salt water and all that. There's lots of fun, but I think that was the one that I really came away with and thought, yeah, I've earned my beer tonight.
Can't top that. I guess anytime going up to altitude is like not in a plane, but just like up in the mountains is pretty scary for anyone here that's been like 15,000 feet or higher. You feel like somebody took a knife and stabbed you in the brain a couple times. Like it hurts really bad, and you can pass out. You just don't feel good at all. So I think anytime like in the northern India, going up into the mountains, going up to the highest motorable roadway on earth, Cardinal La Pass was like 18,500 feet. And I think Justin almost passed out. He left. Some people got climbing higher. Altitude's a big killer. I mean, that's one crazy thing. But anything involving think on departure, I know on descending is all the underwater. I mean, that's crazy to have to do all that. But anything involving jumping off cliffs or anything with ropes. I think when you guys climbed up the cliff in Ethiopia, that was probably, was that 100 feet or something? Massive sheer cliff face, just a little rope, climbing a rope in gym class, but up this sheer cliff face. So, in terms of like, you know, we never really told the insurance company some of these things that we were going to do. You really should, because if anything ever happens, and it's happened on Canadian travel shows even, where they've had to write off whole episodes because, you know, they lost a boat in shark-infested water. That wasn't us, that was another show, but things could happen. I mean, most of the time they don't. Most of the time it's perfectly safe.
I remember
The
a year ago, I went to,
A year ago, I went to try to get life insurance, just because I'm like, well, I should have it. You know, I now have a house and I have these things, and I don't want to, if I should die, I don't want to burden my family with these things, with a mortgage and whatever. And so I went into the office, and the guy says, okay, you know, just a couple of simple questions and everything. And he's like, are you a smoker? No. Okay, great. Are you this? You know, what's your age? You know, health? Okay, good. All this sort of stuff. He says, okay, you know, do you bungee jump? Yes. Do you rock climb? Yes. Do you scuba dive? Yes. And he's like, okay, and he had to print out separate forms for all of that. And he's like, you know, have you ever, you know, do you go to war-torn countries? Yes. Do you name them? And yeah, one of the things was, if you've left North America in the last 12 months, name the places and the dates that you were in those locations. And there's 2 lines. And I'm like, you're going to need to print about 25 more pages so I can write this out. So it was kind of funny. And I got denied. For that. So, yeah, I don't know.
I actually got life insurance, but I got it after departure was over, and I was sort of like laying low, maybe just going back and forth to India a couple places, but nowhere crazy. But I had the same thing. They asked you if you like bungee jump, skydive, all that kind of thing. So, yeah. Anything else? Any other questions? Awesome. Is there anything else?
What's next?
Number 14.
What are you doing next?
Next? Well, we, like, one thing we wanted to do was, based on our experience with the mall, because up until I did my first film here in Canada, we were doing all short films and learning the ins and outs of distribution. With a mall, when you do a feature film in this country, A, you won't make money really. Like, realistically, you probably have to put your fees in if you're producing or directing. It's your first film and that kind of thing. B, you're probably gonna have to give up most of your rights to a distributor. You know, which is fine because if you don't want to deal with that, if that person does a good job and the film is successful and all that. But we were so disappointed by the distribution of our film that we really wanted to make sure that this film remained in all of our control still and not have to give it to a company. So we started a distribution company called Departures Distribution, which is obviously for the show, and kind of getting that out to the world and kind of, you know, we can all work together and we got it into National Geographic, we got into RTL Germany, DR Denmark, Air Canada, Canal Evasion, Quebec, a whole bunch of networks. Recently, actually very recently, it's going to be starting in Travel Channel International in about 140 countries, and just continuing that on, and that's something that we're starting to talk about for Descending as well, putting it through sort of the same model. So on top of that is also building a whole online, you know, we do like all the special features and commentaries and everything we put in the DVD. We're doing the same for Descending, just building like an online store, fulfillment shop, selling t-shirts, travel wallets, all the merchandising as well. So so doing that, and then for me, production-wise, kind of an open book right now. I have one project that I'm talking to the youngest son of Che Guevara, and he's a huge motorcycle enthusiast, and he's really passionate about his father's history, and kind of the idea is him and a few other Cuban revolutionaries going on a road trip in South America. and kind of retracing the Motorcycle Diaries path a little bit, but sort of doing their own thing, finding old bikes, meeting local people, learning about the social, the culture, you know, learning a bit about the history of, you know, the whole continent in a way. So that's one of the projects. But
yeah, for myself, and Echo Bay, hopefully looking for a second season of Descending. We still have a lot that we want to accomplish as far as ocean exploration is concerned. So, you know, we want to up our skill level a little bit, but we also want to continue on and make at least another half season. And then it'll be getting into distribution of this one, and then looking forward to beyond that, hopefully a few new projects I kind of mentioned before that we're looking to hopefully be in a position to get more than one show going now, and not just be handcuffed to one particular show, and be able to get several off the ground. But that scares the crap out of me, but we're going to try. Anyone else?
Well, I'd like to thank you very much, but I think Michelle is going to have the last word.
all right.
Yep, you should.
I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming in. This is literally like the greatest day of my life right now. And I'm just like beaming clearly. And I just wanted to say thank you so much, even just like for putting together Departures, because for me it's like the greatest show. It's not even like a show, it's more so like a lifestyle choice. And it's just like, it's so amazing, and thank you so much, and thank you for sharing everything with everyone, because I feel like everyone needs this little inspiration at this point in the program, so thank you so much.
I really want to eat the gummy worm in this, but I'll wait. I'll probably spill it all down myself, so thanks for that.